What if I told you that the thoughts running through your mind right now aren't actually yours? What if every belief you hold about yourself, your limits, your dreams, and your potential is only a pattern of energy you've been conditioned to repeat? And what if realizing this truth could completely change how reality responds to you? You've been taught to believe that your thoughts are private, that they belong to you, that they come from somewhere deep inside your mind. But thought isn't contained. It's not trapped inside your head. It's a frequency, a signal, a vibration moving through consciousness itself. You are not the generator of that signal. You are the receiver. Everything you've ever thought, every emotion you've ever felt, and every story you've ever told yourself has been a broadcast tuned to a certain energetic frequency. When you think a thought of doubt, you tune to the field of doubt. When you think a thought of belief, you tune to the field of possibility. You don't create reality through effort. You tune reality through frequency. This isn't a poetic metaphor. It's how consciousness operates. At the quantum level, observation changes energy. Particles shift the moment they're noticed. Reality reorganizes itself based on attention. That means your awareness isn't passive. It's the organizing principle of your experience. You've been living as if life happens to you, as if you're reacting to things that are already fixed. But the truth is reversed. Reality is reacting to you. Your thoughts, emotions, and expectations are the blueprint. The physical world is just the printout. Think about any challenge you've faced: money, health, relationships. The first instinct is usually to fix the situation, to control it, to push against it. But the moment you do that, you match the frequency of resistance. And resistance can only attract more of itself. The harder you push, the more stuck you feel. Energy doesn't respond to want. It responds to state. And your state is determined by what you identify with. Most people spend their lives identified with the noise of thought. They think they are the thinker. But the thinker is just a habit of attention. When you observe the mind and step back from it without reacting, something incredible happens. The stream slows. The stories fade. And awareness remains. That awareness, the quiet space behind the thoughts, is where real creation begins. It's not forced. It's not effortful. It's a steady knowing that what you focus on consistently becomes form. Not because you're commanding the universe, but because you are the universe expressing itself through focus. Think about the last time you felt completely aligned. Listening to music, walking in nature, laughing with someone you love. In those moments there was no overthinking, no worry, no doubt. You were present, and in that presence everything flowed. That's not coincidence. That's coherence. Your energy matched the frequency of ease, and life mirrored it instantly. Here's the truth most people never hear. Manifestation isn't about asking the universe for what you want. It's about becoming the version of you who already has it. And that shift doesn't happen through control. It happens through resonance. When your inner state matches the energy of your desire, reality has no choice but to reflect it. But the moment you identify with lack, the moment you start chasing instead of aligning, you shift frequency again. You move from creation to separation. You forget that everything you desire is already vibrating in the same field you are. And the moment you remember that, the game changes. This understanding doesn't mean you stop dreaming or taking action. It means your actions stop coming from struggle. They start coming from clarity, from alignment, from the recognition that your inner world is the projector and life is the screen. You stop fighting the movie and you start changing the real. Every great transformation begins with this single recognition. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that chooses which thoughts to amplify. And that awareness is the true point of creation. So the next time your mind tells you it's hard, impossible, or too late, pause. Watch the thought. Don't fight it. Just notice it. Then remember, this is only one frequency out of infinite possibilities. You can tune to another at any time. You can shift your focus, and the universe will shift with you. Because the reality you see is not fixed. It's fluid. It's intelligent, and it's waiting for your next instruction. Drop this phrase in your mind and feel it land. I am not my thoughts. I am the field choosing them. This is not an affirmation. It's a command to consciousness, a signal to the quantum field that you're ready to step out of reaction and into creation. There is a moment in everyone's life when they realize that their outer world is only reflecting their inner state. It doesn't happen dramatically. It happens quietly, often in the middle of ordinary moments. You start noticing patterns, the same frustrations, the same disappointments, the same limitations, showing up again and again in different forms. Different faces, same energy. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. Life mirrors your dominant vibration until you choose to change it. Most people think change begins with action. They think they need to fix something outside themselves to feel better inside. But the truth is the opposite. The shift always begins internally, long before anything visible happens. Your emotional state sets the tone for what you attract. Every thought, every feeling, every subtle reaction sends out a signal. And that signal is constantly communicating with the field around you, drawing in experiences that match its frequency. When you worry, you're tuning to the field of worry. When you expect something to go wrong, you're aligning with that pattern. But when you start expecting ease, when you hold the energy of gratitude before the outcome arrives, the pattern begins to rewrite itself. You've been told to work harder, to think smarter, to plan better. But rarely have you been told to align your energy first. Alignment isn't passivity. It's precision. It's the art of becoming energetically compatible with the life you want before it materializes. Everything in this universe operates through resonance. Two frequencies vibrating at the same rate attract and amplify each other. You cannot experience abundance while feeling lack. You cannot experience love while living in self-doubt. The energy must match, the state must align. So what does that look like in practice? It starts with awareness. Notice how often your attention drifts toward what's missing, what's broken, what hasn't happened yet. Every time you focus there, you reinforce that reality. You strengthen that version of yourself. But every time you shift your attention toward gratitude, possibility, and trust, you begin tuning to a different signal. That single act of focus is the foundation of manifestation. You're not trying to force the universe into your timeline. You're allowing it to match the energy you're holding. The key is understanding that emotion is the language of the field. Words alone mean little if the energy behind them is misaligned. You can repeat positive affirmations all day, but if you feel doubt as you say them, the universe responds to the feeling, not the phrase. This is why the most powerful creators are not the ones who constantly affirm. They are the ones who embody the emotion of what they want as if it's already true. They walk through the world as though it has already happened, and the world rearranges itself to confirm it. You don't have to understand the entire quantum mechanism to use it. You just have to trust that the energy you carry shapes what you see. Think of yourself as both the observer and the sculptor. Every moment you choose a thought, you shape the clay of potential into form. That's why discipline of thought isn't about control. It's about direction. It's choosing to focus your awareness like light through a lens, turning a diffuse beam into something powerful enough to create. People often ask, if it's that simple, why isn't everyone doing it? The answer is conditioning. We've been raised to react to circumstances, not create them. From childhood, we were taught to believe what we see. We weren't told that what we see is only a projection of what we've been believing. So we live on autopilot, letting our old emotions set the coordinates for our future. But once you wake up to that pattern, you realize you've had the steering wheel the whole time. Change doesn't require struggle. It requires awareness. It requires the courage to stop identifying with the old version of you. The one who thought they were powerless, the one who waited for proof before believing. The quantum field doesn't respond to proof. It responds to energy. When you start believing first, reality follows. The evidence shows up after the alignment, not before it. There's a quiet power that comes with this realization. You no longer feel desperate. You no longer chase. You begin to move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself like someone who already knows how this story ends. And that confidence, that calm certainty, becomes magnetic. It pulls in people, opportunities, and synchronicities that match your vibration. You start to experience what others call luck, but you know it's not luck at all. It's coherence between who you are inside and what you experience outside. So pause and look at your life right now. Everything you see is a reflection of a past vibration, a previous state of being. And that means something extraordinary. You are never stuck. You're simply experiencing the momentum of an old frequency. The moment you shift your energy, the timeline begins to change. Maybe not instantly in physical form, but immediately in direction. The wave starts collapsing toward a new possibility. And as you hold that new energy, as you trust it more than your circumstances, the shift becomes visible. That is how you start becoming a conscious creator of your reality, not through control, but through coherence. Not through striving, but through alignment. The universe is not against you. It's responding to you moment by moment, thought by thought, frequency by frequency. And when you understand that, life stops feeling random. It starts feeling responsive. Every reality you could ever live already exists as a possibility in the field. Infinite versions of you are vibrating right now in infinite timelines. There's a version of you who already has the confidence, the success, the love, the peace you've been searching for. And the only difference between you and that version isn't luck or timing, it's state. You shift into that version the moment your vibration matches theirs. Most people spend their lives waiting for evidence before they believe. They wait to see the money before they feel abundant. They wait for love before they feel worthy. They wait for the opportunity before they feel capable. But that waiting creates distance. The energy of waiting is lack, and lack cannot produce abundance. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It mirrors who you are being. When you embody the feeling of already having it, you collapse the distance between yourself and that reality. This is why identity is everything. You cannot sustain a reality that doesn't match your self-concept. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, even success will feel temporary. If you believe you are someone who's always trying, you'll never truly arrive. But when you begin to shift your identity, to see yourself as the creator, not the chaser, everything starts aligning differently. Your choices change. Your posture changes. Your words, your energy, your attention, all begin to align with that new state of being. This isn't pretending. It's not about lying to yourself or playing make-believe. It's about remembering the truth that's always been buried beneath conditioning. You've been programmed to identify with limitation, but that limitation isn't real. It's a story that's been repeated so many times that it feels solid. When you stop feeding it with belief, it starts to dissolve. And in that space, the real you begins to emerge. The one who never doubted. The one who always knew they were connected to everything. To become that version, start noticing the subtle ways you reinforce your old identity. The words you use, the thoughts you repeat, the emotions you default to when things don't go as planned. Each of those moments is a choice point, an opportunity to shift timelines. You can keep reacting from habit, or you can respond from awareness. The first keeps you in the loop of the past. The second moves you into alignment with the future you've already imagined. The simplest way to shift identity is through feeling. Ask yourself, how would the version of me who already lives my desired life feel right now? Confident, peaceful, grateful? Then bring that feeling into your present moment, not as performance but as embodiment. Walk as that person. Speak as that person. Think as that person. You'll notice the world starts to bend around you. People treat you differently. Circumstances flow more easily. Not because something outside has changed, but because you finally did. The quantum field responds to consistency. The more often you return to that state, the faster reality stabilizes around it. At first it feels like imagination. Then it starts feeling familiar. Eventually, it becomes undeniable. That's when you realize manifestation was never about attracting. It was about remembering. You were never separate from what you wanted. You were simply tuned to a version of yourself that couldn't see it yet. Doubt will still visit you. That's normal. The old identity will try to pull you back because it's comfortable. It will whisper stories that sound like reason, but are really fear disguised as logic. When that happens, don't fight it. Observe it. Recognize it as an echo of an older frequency. You don't overcome doubt by arguing with it. You transcend it by not identifying with it. When you stop giving it energy, it loses power. In time, you'll start feeling a deeper calm, one that doesn't depend on circumstances. That calm is your confirmation that you've shifted. You no longer need to chase results because you can feel the alignment within. And that alignment always precedes manifestation. The outer change becomes a natural reflection of the inner stability. That's the paradox of creation. You only receive when you no longer need to. This is the essence of becoming your future self. It's not about reaching for something far away. It's about realizing that version of you is already here, waiting for your recognition. You bridge the gap through emotion, through attention, through trust. Every moment you act from that place, you're aligning with that timeline. And when alignment becomes your habit, manifestation becomes inevitable. The universe doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all vibrating in harmony with the energy of your desired state, reality begins to rearrange itself to match it. That's when you stop wondering when it will happen. You start knowing it's already unfolding. You stop hoping. You start embodying. You stop seeking. You start being. In that state, life begins to flow differently. Things you once struggled for begin to arrive effortlessly. Doors open, not because you forced them, but because you finally became a match for the rooms you were meant to enter. And as that happens, you realize the truth that changes everything. You were never trying to create something new. You were remembering who you've been all along. There comes a moment when you stop searching for signs and start recognizing yourself as the sign. You stop asking when things will change because you realize they already are. The shift happens quietly. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand announcements. It arrives in your stillness, in your calm, in the way you start responding to life instead of reacting to it. You notice that what used to trigger you no longer has the same pull. You notice that opportunities begin to find you, not because you're chasing them, but because you're finally aligned with them. That's the mark of a conscious creator, the ability to move through life with awareness, trust, and grace. You begin to understand that everything you experience is feedback from the field. The people who cross your path, the emotions that arise, the delays, the breakthroughs, they're all mirrors showing you where your vibration currently lives. Nothing is random. Every event is an invitation to refine your energy, to realign with the state that matches your highest self. When you start seeing life this way, you no longer feel like a victim of circumstance. You start to see the perfection in every moment, even the uncomfortable ones, because you recognize them as catalysts for expansion. Creation is not something you do once. It's a way of being. It's the awareness that every breath, every thought, every emotion is shaping your reality right now. You don't need rituals or elaborate techniques to connect with the quantum field. You connect every time you choose presence over distraction, trust over fear, gratitude over worry. Each of those choices is an act of creation, a subtle command that tells the universe, this is who I am. This is the energy I choose to live from. When you live this way, you stop trying to control outcomes. Control comes from fear, the fear that if you let go, things will fall apart. But when you understand that your energy is the architecture of your reality, control becomes unnecessary. Surrender isn't weakness. It's confidence in motion. It's the deep knowing that you don't need to chase what's already yours. You just need to align with it and allow it to appear in its own time. The paradox is that the more you let go, the more power you feel. The more you stop forcing, the more influence you gain. Because influence in this universe isn't about domination, it's about harmony. The strongest frequency is always the one that's most coherent. And coherence is born from peace. When you are at peace with where you are, you open the path to where you want to be. That's when manifestation stops feeling like a practice and starts feeling like your natural state of existence. You begin to live as your future self now. You wake up with gratitude, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally see that perfection isn't in outcomes, it's in awareness. Now you speak with intention, you act with clarity. You move through your days knowing that energy precedes matter and that everything is responding to your vibration. Life becomes less about striving and more about remembering. You stop waiting for the future to fulfill you because you've already become fulfilled in the present. And that fulfillment is the frequency that draws everything else into harmony. When you look back, you realize the process was never about learning how to manifest. It was about remembering that you already do. Every thought, every word, every belief has been a manifestation in motion. The difference now is that you're doing it consciously. You've reclaimed the authorship of your experience. You've stepped out of reaction and into creation. You've remembered that you are not separate from the field. You are the field observing itself through the lens of your awareness. This understanding brings a quiet power. You stop needing validation. You stop comparing paths. You stop doubting your timing. You realize that the universe has always been in communication with you through feeling, through synchronicity, through the subtle language of alignment. And as you continue to trust that language, life begins to unfold in ways logic could never predict. So breathe. Feel the stillness behind your thoughts. Remember that the same energy that holds galaxies together is the same energy moving through you. You are not a fragment of creation. You are its expression. Every heartbeat, every idea, every act of love is the universe experiencing itself through you. The moment you live from that truth, you've already won. Because creation was never about getting more. It was about realizing you were never lacking anything at all. You are the awareness behind the story. You are the consciousness shaping the form. You are the vibration the universe listens to. And the more you live as that truth, the more life bends to meet you in ways that once felt impossible. This is where effort ends and flow begins. This is where faith becomes evidence. This is where you stop waiting for miracles because you've become one.